and welcome to In-Game Chat for Saturday, August 23rd, 2014. This is Season 8, Episode 34. I'm Scott.
I'm Dennis.
I'm RJ.
And I'm Nathan.
Welcome to the show, everybody. James might be joining us a little bit later. I believe he does have plans to be here tonight, so may join us in one of our segments further in the hour. If you'd like to get in touch with us and talk to us, our phone number is 334-272-9228. You can check out ingamechat.net for all the links to get in touch with us. You can find us on Twitter at ingamechat as well as on Facebook. You can email us, everyone, at ingamechat.net, and we are streaming the cam through Twitch. Head over to twitch.tv, look for in-game chat, just type in their little search, in-game chat. Better yet, go to ingamechat.net, and over on the left-hand side of the screen, you will see all the different ways that you can interact with us and talk to us. Our Facebook page, our Twitter account, our email, and our Twitch page. You click on the Twitch link, boom, there you go. You can watch us and join in the chat room live while we broadcast. So welcome to the show. I see we got people already in the chat room. Nabokov is in there. I don't think he was there last week. Or, yeah, he does say it. It's been a minute. So he hasn't been in the chat room for a while, actually. So anyway, glad to have him. Glad to have everybody in the chat room. Glad to have everybody who is listening on the radio or listening on the stream or whatever you're doing. As long as you're listening to us, we are glad to have you. I'm pretty tired. I'm pretty beat.
We can see.
Been a long day, huh?
Day started at 7:30 this morning, so yeah. And I went to bed late because it was a Friday. It wasn't a school night, wasn't a work night type thing. But I was like, yeah, whatever. It's fine. I'll go do the thing. I'll go do the wedding, and I'll come back and I'll go to sleep and take a nap. I did not get a chance to do that. It got delayed. I was ready to go, but I got there at 10. And it was supposed to start at 11, but then they moved it, and we started at like 12:15 is when we started the whole thing. So a lot of fun, though. But maybe when James gets in, we'll talk about it, because he could see everything. I could only tell you what it was like being in the costume. Hot.
Very hot.
Hot. So hot. Oh.
Despite having a respirator, you could barely breathe.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
The Alabama heat.
Yeah. I've already gotten the pictures back, so I'll have to look at those at some of the 3 pictures. That's not right. There should be more than that. We'll check out those later and tell you what was going on. But anyway, welcome to the show. Like I said, I'm tired. I'm going to throw it over to Nate, who was not here last week, and find out what he's been up to since we talked last. What have you been playing? What have you been doing?
Well, I don't know. This was a long time ago, but when Titanfall came out, I had played the beta, and I was like, this is a really good game.
Yeah.
But I was not going to spend more than $20 for it.
Yeah, that was a long time.
That was my limit.
Yeah.
It was $20. And this week, Origin had a sale, and the game was $38 for the DLC, all the season pass and Titanfall. And I was like, oh, it's getting a little better. For the game itself, I think it was like $25, something like that. And I was like, getting a little close. And someone on the Reddit page, figured out that if you use this app on Google Chrome called Hola, it takes you to the Mexican server, and then you can go onto the page and buy it through PayPal or pesos on PayPal, and so then it only costs $21. So I'm playing Titanfall.
Yeah. I did the same thing when I bought Titanfall originally.
When it first
Really
came
now?
out?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got Titanfall and all the expansions were like $35.
So it hit what I wanted to pay for it. So,
Yeah.
That, and then last week...
it hit that in Mexico, at least.
Yeah. Close enough, right?
I mean, I did the same thing. Like
It's North America, but anyway.
It's horror. I kind of feel guilty about it. You probably don't, but I kind of feel guilty about it a little bit. When I think about it, I feel guilty about it. But as long as I don't think about it and play the game and everything else, it never crosses my mind. But sometimes I feel guilty about it. Not necessarily that one, more on the Valiant Hearts, because that was a legitimate pricing error that took place in Russia.
Yeah.
But I was still able to get it.
It's like what your copy of Sleeping Dogs, that was 98 cents for 15
Again,
minutes.
pricing error. Yeah. Now, pricing errors, though, I'll take advantage of those. However, pricing errors outside of the country that you have to go through somewhat of a loophole to get to.
It's not really error. It's more of just a...
Well, no, yours isn't.
Currency
Yours is a definite sale.
Yeah.
And I guess mine was too when I bought Titanfall through the Mexican thing. But
it's just a currency exchange, information. But I've also been playing. Last weekend I played at some good old Sega.
Some good old Sega.
And
what'd you play?
It was at my sister's house. We still have all of the cartridges. We have Road Rash 2, the original Sonic 3D, or not CD, Sonic 2, Sonic Pinball. Let's see, the original. Do you know the game that was basically based off of Prince of Persia? Do you?
Based off Prince of Persia?
The original game based off?
Prince of Persia based their game off of this game. It was on Sega. I can't think of the name of it.
Really?
Flashpoint, Flashback?
No, I can't think of the name of it. It's got the same setting and everything, but I have that one. I'll look it up here and tell you guys in a minute. I can't remember. But Terminator vs. RoboCop, one of my all-time favorite games. Did you guys ever play that?
No.
Heard of it, never played it.
Yeah, I've heard of it too.
Game's great. But some good old Sega, 2-player, Madden 96, going way back. But other than that, just waiting for Destiny, I guess, really. Oh, I did get the Metro Redux. I bought that on Steam, but it doesn't come out till the end of the month. I'll be playing that next week.
That's the HD re-release of Metro and Last Light.
It is. But that'll be on PC. But yeah, other than that,
I looked at that. I looked at that. Metro Last Light didn't look too different than from what I played it. But however, Metro 2033, I guess, is that what that is? That looked really good.
I mean, that would make sense because Last Light's only 2 years old.
Yeah, it's not very old. Yeah.
But I never played either one of them, so I was just like,
yeah,
why not? But yeah, so.
Anything on your list, RJ?
Usual suspects, a little Dark Souls, a little Street Fighter. I played a lot of Virtua Fighter 5, getting ready for a little get-together with some friends of mine on over online. We're going to have a little Poverty Cup, little get-together online tournament on PlayStation tomorrow. So I'm getting all the moves in and practice that I can for that. Also, got a little further ahead in Batman Arkham Origins. I finished the fight against Copperhead, and now I'm chasing...
I hated that fight.
Oh, really? Which part of it? The duplicates or the
one where your health is running out? Doesn't your health?
You're poisoned, yes.
Yeah.
But no.
I thought your health constantly diminished during that fight.
No, if it did, I didn't notice it because
I could be wrong.
Maybe
I think RJ's saying he was good enough that he finished the fight before it had any significant impact.
No, well, I was low health all the way, so if there was any drawing, I could have been down
more
a
than
lot.
likely. That's probably the case.
Yeah, but got through that, and now I'm chasing the Electrocutioner. Now I'm looking for those little side missions for Enigma, because get a lot of experience out of that, and I was just wanting to get some more boosts for Batman as I go through the storyline. But other than that, it's pretty much what I've been playing this week so far.
Yeah, I enjoy. I really, really like Arkham Origins. I don't hide that fact.
Yeah, you did mention that the Deathstroke fights were really good in that game. Had a lot of fun with those.
The Deathstroke fight was good. Yeah, that's one that's one right after the Penguin, right?
Yeah, in the prison.
Ship?
Yeah, the ship. That's right.
Yeah,
the ship.
The armory ship thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was. I enjoyed that fight. The boss fights that I enjoyed in Arkham Origins, I like them much better than I did in Arkham City and Arkham Asylum.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of variety in them.
Yeah,
and they don't rely on a gimmick.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of villains in this one anyway. A lot more villains than I can recall having to deal with than any other Batman series anyway.
Yeah.
I know Asylum was like throw your batarang at the right moment, essentially.
Right.
For the most part.
Every time you faced one of the big guys.
It's like batarang, and the final one was like the grapple claw.
Yeah, you had to throw them when they charge you, and then duck out of the way. You'd charge them first, that would blind them. So you duck out of the way, they'd hit the wall, and they'd become stunned a little bit. Then you would have to go and do that thing where he punches them really, really
rapid
fast.
Fire punch.
Yeah, do the cape stun and then the rapid fire.
Cape stun and rapidly hit strike. Yeah.
Yeah. So there was that, and then that was in Arkham Asylum.
Mm-hmm.
And so the next one was I guess the Joker beatdown was kind of the same thing.
Yeah.
You'd have to do stuff like that, and then you'd have to spray the stuff on the ground and then fire it off the explosive gel.
Explosive gel, yeah.
So Arkham Asylum or City comes along, and it kind of retreads not necessarily the same thing, but like every boss fight that you had, I guess there was some kind of seemed to be some kind of gimmick to it. I won't put it on all of them. The one specifically that I remember is Solomon Grundy.
Mm-hmm.
You get your explosive gel again.
Yeah.
And you learn a new technique with it, which is the one where you're doing in the middle of a fight, you press X and he does the leap and sets the gel on the ground, and then you can make it explode.
Yeah.
So there was gimmicky in that, and then the ones in Origins though just didn't feel like when you fight Deathstroke, you fight Deathstroke.
Yeah, it's a fight. It's an actual
you fight him.
Fight. Yeah.
It's not a
no tricks, no gimmicks.
Let me set a trap, and then he comes and blows it up or something.
Yeah, no tricks, no gimmicks, just hand to hand.
Yeah,
mano a mano. Yeah.
And so I really like that. It's not his name. Is his name Firefly?
Firefly. Yeah, that's a villain name.
Yeah, sounds like one, doesn't it?
It's one I know from DC.
He's a really fun fight. There's some graphical glitches, like cars being gigantic.
Yeah,
we've talked about it before.
Yeah, we've seen that. We've seen that image before. Yeah.
But the whole fight itself, while it is gimmicky, it's actually very fun. It's very, very fun. I did not like Copperhead's fight though. I didn't like Copperhead.
Yeah, lots of duplicates in that. All of a sudden, that blue flash for that cut comes and takes a lot of health off you. I remember that much. There was a couple of failures on my part. I was going good, getting a lot of good chains going with the combat system, and then that blue flash came out, and I reacted too late and start over.
Yeah, yeah.
The Shiva fight was also nice too. Her and her ninjas or whatever. That was a good one as well. They remember finishing Anarchy as well.
He wasn't too bad.
Nigma wasn't too bad.
Yeah.
Just the grenades you had to look out for.
Did you also? Where did you pick this up? PS4 or PS3?
PS3.
Yeah.
PS3 had during the superhero sale.
Did you get? Did that come with like everything? Did that come with like season pass and everything else?
No, I think it was just a bare bones edition, bare bones part.
Yeah.
No DLC that I know of.
Okay, I was wondering because Anarchy comes back into play. Not him necessarily, but the Anarchy signs that you had to look and find. Those come back into play during the Cold Heart. DLC.
Yeah, I've only found one of those so far.
Anyway, anything else other than that?
No, but those three is what I've been getting into lately.
Hey, Dennis, anything with you?
A few things. I've been playing some more Crawl, which we streamed that last week, and overall seemed to enjoy it. Aside from learning that 3 humans and 1 bot is not terribly fun. Not as fun as all of us just.
No, because a bot dominates.
Yeah, well, it dominates, and there's no interaction with the bot aside from like, oh, well, let's try to kill him.
Yeah.
Started up Darkness 2. I played that on the 360 a couple of years ago.
I saw you playing that. Last night actually.
Yeah, I started on PC because I was like, I wonder how this compares with being a first-person shooter and everything. And it's like so much better with keyboard and mouse, at least for me. Aside from that, I haven't had much time. I started playing Kingdom of Loathing more regularly. The way their system's set up is you essentially have a new game plus built into the game, and you can like basically pick different challenges to run. And the latest one they released changed up the game a little bit in very interesting ways. So I've been kind of diving into that.
Okay.
Aside from that, that's about all I've done so far.
Didn't play any speedrunners?
I just activated the code you sent me this morning, so I didn't get a chance to play any of that, but I'll definitely be getting into that over this next week.
Well, in the time period that since we last played, or since we last did a show and played, because that's what we do after. By the way, everybody listening, stick around after the show, because about 30 minutes after we stop, we start back up again and play some video games in here in the studio, so you can watch us play whatever. Normally it's speedrunners. That's kind of what we get down to now. But we played a couple of other. We try to do multiplayer games that all of us can play, and we'll be doing that after this episode as well. So I played some pinball, just because I was like, let's get back into it. And then I got tired. I actually got tired of playing pinball and decided to fire up speedrunners. Yes, I do get tired of playing the same thing over and over again.
Why don't you just go live in Oakland while you're at it?
Yeah, right. We'll talk about that in a minute. Just a passing mention of it, but I had been playing the same table over and over again, trying to beat my high score, and I was like, okay, let's take a break from it. But I didn't want to stop playing anything. I was like, I still want to play something, but
you were just burned out on trying for that high score.
Let's play something else. Let's stop playing pinball for a bit. Let's.
It feels like one of the instances where you just want to turn your brain off and just play. You know, don't think about anything, worry about angles or proper timing. Just play something.
You know, I don't even think about that stuff. The high score. It's like I play some of the games on my iPad through Pinball Arcade, and actually did fantastically well on Mars Attacks and Medieval Madness. Just sitting there on the iPad playing, and they were great. And I really think the longer I play on a specific table in Pinball Effects, I'll eventually have those moments of greatness. They're slim, but few and far between. But I think that they'll get there. You just have to continue to do it over and over and over and over again. And I was tired of doing it over and over and over again, so I decided to play speedrunners. I was like, let me just jump into a regular ranked match. And I did, and the bug bit me. That's it. Because you win points and you lose points, and it takes points to to climb the ranks.
Yeah.
Because they've got a beginner level, advanced level, experience level, all this other thing. You have to get 300 points in order to move into the very first level of the rankings. Then you have to get 1,000 points to move into the second level of the rankings. So, but every time you play, depending on how well you do, you win some points, or if you do bad, you lose points.
Okay.
So it just fluctuates. It fluctuates in different ways there, and that was just the draw, I think. A
little bit of competition just got you in
competition
there?
and a little bit of gamble. Because it's like, here we go. I'm putting my points on the line. Because you can lose as much as, I think, 30 points. You can gain as much as like 45, sometimes 60 points. It all depends on how it works out, I think. But
yeah, and I know in Street Fighter and Virtua Fighter, they have a ranking system as well in ranked battles. Street Fighter, like battle points that you get, the more battle points you get, the more your grade goes up. Everybody starts out with at D. Grade D, goes D plus, and C, C plus, and so on, till you get to A or S. And it depends on how many points you get. Well, after a certain point of grading, if you lose a match, you lose points, and you start losing rank and whatnot. Virtua Fighter, especially, is like that. You'll have a certain rank, but if you lose enough matches, they have a meter. In ranked matches, you have some green in the meter. If it runs out, that means you're going to get demoted if you lose again. If it fills up, you win a match and you go up to the next rank over and over again. So a lot of people put their best efforts forward in terms of those ranked matches, see if they can get their status up.
Yeah, it's last night I played some, and I was in. It couldn't pair me with people at my own level, so it paired me with people in some higher levels than I was, and it was just loss after loss after loss after loss after loss. I took a break from it. I came back. At this point, I had knocked myself back down into the lower ranking league.
Now, when you lost to those higher ranked people, did it give you the same amount of losses if you loss of points as if you lose to someone who's on your level?
Apparently not. I can tell you that, because it was around. It was a little bit like, it was like around 15 or 20. Sometimes 10 points lost instead of 20, 25, 30 points lost on people that were in my own rank. So maybe it was a little bit less, and then again, maybe it wasn't at all. I don't really necessarily remember. I just know I kept trying and trying and trying. The smart thing would have been to back out of that room and try and reconnect with somebody in my own level, other than losing all these points right after, back to back to back to back. I didn't do that. I just kept going. And then I decided to stop, and I came back to it a little bit later, and I told myself, I was like, no, you shouldn't. You really shouldn't, because you're going to be here for a long time if you do. But I did it anyway. I was in a lower rank. I got mixed with those guys who were of my same rank, and the games were phenomenal. I didn't win every single one of them, but the competition was so much better. It wasn't me always in the back. It was, we were all on the same page pretty much as we played. It was fantastic. I love that. So I think I'll be jumping into that. The problem with that is that I learned so many new tricks when we play tonight after the show. So many different tricks I've learned on some of the levels.
Oh boy,
and everything
yeah,
else.
you're going to tear through all of us,
Yeah.
aren't you?
Now, in the rank things, you know how you land on spikes?
Yeah.
You just kind of float there until you do it.
kinda
You land on spikes in a ranked match, you're dead. That's it. You don't get your guy back.
Oh, there's no
Oh,
Yeah, the
interesting.
screen starts closing in and everything else. Once a guy hits those spikes, you don't get a chance to come back
no
until
chance
the
for
race is
recovery.
over.
Oh
Yeah.
goodness. Okay.
So they're really, really important in the ranked match to avoid them. But what I also discovered while I was playing was that Steamworks is integrated into the matches that we all play here.
Mm-hmm.
So we can
Okay.
jump over and try some player-created maps, levels, and play those things. Instead of going through the same stuff over and over again, we just jump over there and play any one of those and figure those out. And they'll be brand new to me as much as they'll be brand new to you guys. And so that'd be a lot of fun. So anyway, let's take a break. I know that some people listening on the stream are having some audio issues. I do not know what's going on with that, but you can go to our the radio station's website, newstalk931.com, and you can listen to the stream there. I think it is.
Yeah, we're getting
better than-
reports that that's doing a bit better than the Twitch stream right now.
Yeah, so I'm not exactly sure what's going on. We're using the same setup that we've always used. It was a little bit, it wasn't that great last week, but the week before was fine. The week before that seemed to be fine. I don't know what's going on this week, but head over there to listen to it if you're listening on the stream, and you can watch through Twitch. You can just mute that and then just watch the video there. But sorry about that. Hopefully we can get that fixed for you. It isn't likely through this episode that we might, but also, show note. I know we said next week that we would not be here, that I would not be here, and that Dennis would not be here, and that we would run some replay thing. That is not the case. Dennis will be gone, I will be gone, but James will be here. James will be here doing the show. I don't know about RJ. You going to be in town next weekend?
I'll be in town next weekend.
Okay, RJ will be here. I don't know what Nate's doing. What do you got going on for Labor Day?
I'll tell you later. It's iffy.
You might or might not be here? Okay. Nate's up in the air, but Dennis and I will not be here. But James will be. Jeremy's a possibility of showing up and helping James out. And so that will go on next Saturday. You'll listen
So,
to...
yeah, you have James, possibly Jeremy, RJ, and Schrodinger's Nathan.
So anyway, we'll be back with more of In-Game Chat in just a moment. Here is music from World of Warcraft. It's called Seasons of War. We'll be right back. welcome back to In-Game Chat. That is music, that's Battlefield 2. Is this one of yours that you sent in, Nate? Okay. I couldn't remember if that was Battlefield 2 or if that was Battlefield 4 that you had sent stuff in. I couldn't remember what it was for. But anyway, Battlefield 2, that's like the main theme. So thanks for sending that in, man. Like I said, our phone number, 334-272-9228, 334-272-9228, if you would like to call in and chat with us about anything gaming-related that is on your mind. Is there anything gaming-related on your guys' minds that you would like to talk about here in the studio and Guy in the booth? Anything at all? Yeah.
The whole Five Guys thing. Do you understand any of that? Have you heard of it?
Yeah, I've seen.
I didn't look. That came up like Friday when I got to work. I saw the thread on Gaff about it. This is Polytron, right?
Yeah, Polytron, Phil Fish, Zoe Quinn, all that, and
MTV. That's what it is. MTV stuff.
It's the internet, man.
I didn't follow it. I really didn't.
Well, I didn't follow it either until someone posted a video on it, and I was like, "What in the world?"
It's
it literally is MTV high school drama.
Yeah, and it's the internet hate cycle doing what the internet hate cycle does best. I mean, that's exactly what it is. And next week they'll have moved on to something else. But geez, just reading all that.
I never even heard of Phil Fish until
this is your first time hearing of Phil Fish?
Never heard of him.
Wow.
Yeah, because a couple months ago he got into dust up with some game reviewers. I can't remember which side, but
it was Annoyed Gamer from Game Trailers.
Yeah, basically he was like, you know what?
That he had a headbutt with.
Yeah, at that point he was like, you know what? Did Fez? We're canceling Fez 2. I don't want to do anything else other again.
I watched a really cool video that the guy explained how when people were saying they hate Phil Fish, it's the same thing as hating Nickelback. You don't necessarily hate the band, but you hate that style, and so they were giving a great explanation.
It's mob mentality is what it is. It's just
I haven't played
everybody dogpile on the target of the week.
Which he did say some stupid stuff, but
I remember some of the stuff, and it was kind of like, well, you are being a bit petulant about it, but it's like get to the point where like all your personal information is posted online that's not the way it should go.
Yeah. And
I don't think he did or said anything that deserved that.
Yeah, so like the last time he did this, he just said, Fez 2 canceled, and then he said he quit, and I think he locked his Twitter account or something like that. I can't remember what it was, and I thought he had gone. And then this time when it happened, he decided to sell Polytron and Fez, or at least said he was selling Polytron.
Yeah, he basically said, you know what, just make an offer. I want to divest everything.
Out, yeah. No idea if that's legitimate, if that's just a...
Yeah.
It's still developing, essentially. I mean, and as far as Phil Fish goes, and it's just... Man, internet. I mean, it's more than just internet. It's just, this is how people are, it's more interconnected, and... It's one of those things where it's like...
I've never met Phil Fish, and so I just rather not pass judgment on him without actually having met him.
Yeah.
I've seen his Twitter account. I'm not really agreeable with some of the things he said there, but again, I haven't met the guy.
Yeah,
people are a lot different online, I think, than they are in person sometimes.
It's a lot easier to hide behind the screen.
Yeah. It can be. And there's a few people like that out there who I don't agree with what they do, or at least some of the stuff they do.
I mean, do you think...
Like, there's some people who write articles that I'm like, I don't really buy everything that you're saying, or I just don't like your work. I don't like the way you do things. Or the articles that you write, I don't like them, or something like that. Doesn't mean I don't like the person. I have no problem with the person because, number one, I've never met the person, so I can't really pass any kind of judgment on them other than the work that they put out. And just like reviewing a game, just like anything else, I can have a problem with that, but not the people that made it.
And that's the thing. It's like, is the world better off because there's now one less guy making video games? What good has come out of this? A bunch of people on the internet, put out your financial and personal information. Oh, great. That made the world a better place, didn't it? But no, just, dude who's completely burned out and maybe we've gotten a couple more good video games out of him.
With what happened that recently, where all that personal information was put out there in that 1.5 gig file of all the financials of Polytron, all the passwords, all the emails, all that stuff was put out there. I can kind of see where the guy looks at it and says, "I just want out."
Yeah, at that point it's like, all the stuff's out there.
I will say I don't agree with this. I don't agree with the. There's a term for it, and I can't remember what it is. When you blame an entire group for a few people in the group, type situation.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, tons of people. I'm ashamed to be a gamer, or I'm ashamed of being in the gaming community because of what these people are doing. No. There's no reason to feel ashamed for that. Because all you have to do is be better. Be better. There's no reason to feel ashamed for that situation, or to think I'm embarrassed to be this person. No. Why? You didn't do it. Why should you feel embarrassed about it? Because somebody else who is within your community did it? That's fine. Then that they sit on an outlier. They sit somewhere else in that, because you have the choice to be better than that person.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people did that same day when they did the hashtag We Love Game Developers.
Yeah.
Or Game Devs, or whatever it was called.
That was nice to see.
So I mean, you can be a better person about it. You don't have to succumb to that sort of mentality. And I hate when it gets labeled as everyone because of
it's not everyone. It's just you don't know who it is. I mean, the entire anonymity on the internet is just really that. This is what had to happen. This is really what had to happen. And it's just one of those things where it's like, man, I'd much rather just crawl into a hole and just like play my video games and like just be done with it. Because killer people there are just people out there who are just vicious and willing to do anything, whatever they want to bring down somebody, and just.
But now people know the cost what it takes to get a good review for a game.
What was that?
Zoe.
Well, what happened? What's the situation on her thing?
Let's just say she.
There's.
I heard like a lot of personal information was posted or something.
What happened was she.
Well, with Zoe Quinn with Depression Quest, the entire thing started because there was, I believe it was an angry ex-boyfriend. It's
odd because I think we got an email from Nabokov either last week or the week before where he said, "Hey, everybody should play this game," and he sent us a link to Depression Quest.
Basically, it was a lot of personal details and a lot of accusations, and
well, see, it goes deeper than that though. At first, she was posting. People were basically complaining about the game, saying it wasn't even really. It's just a text-based game, and people were saying it wasn't really even a game. It was just basically a story. And then people were complaining about it, and then she got a hold of one of the Reddit channels for games that anyone that was complaining about the game had them delete messages, and then there was boards that were just all the comments were deleted that were people complaining about the games. Then her boyfriend came out saying that she was cheating. He posted her Facebook messages of who she was doing favors.
Let me take these in parts before you go further. If she was doing what you said in the first part, having people's comments about the game being deleted,
which there's pictures of.
Yeah, there's a problem with that.
Yeah.
The ex-boyfriend posting personal information of her, there's a really big problem with that.
I need to look up the detail on that part. She did something. Complaining about him in that situation, and he was like, "No, this is what happened," and then he put all of the reviewers' names out there of who she was with.
To me, that part doesn't matter. The accusations of what she did to get good reviews. It's like, whatever, man. We talk about what like companies do to reviewers to get good reviews, and.
Kind of the same, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's PR companies and
doesn't matter.
Publishers and that sort of thing. They pretty much get in bed with the journalists.
Yeah, but the accusations don't matter.
But both of them have to agree in order to do that. But on this level, man, is what's that old term? Don't kiss and tell type situation.
Yeah.
You know.
Mm-hmm.
You never kiss and tell. It's a situation between two people. That sort of thing needs to stay between two people and not broadcast in the world.
It's their personal stuff, you know.
But you're completely free to talk about the game, but you don't have to talk about.
Yeah, what does that have to do with the game?
Right.
Does whatever it was, does that make the game good or not, or is it just the game that makes the game good?
Kelly says, sounds like stupid internet drama combined with stupid censoring. It's all just very stupid.
Yeah.
I'm glad that Nate agrees.
Stupid is, stupid does.
Oh, yes.
Getting in bed with journalism to a whole new level.
Yeah, well.
Or is it really new?
No.
They sent me out to Europe for London for Need for Speed, whenever it was. You know, they paid for the flight and then the hotel part of it that I was there for the game thing. I actually turned it into a week-long stay, and I paid for the hotel while I was in downtown London. But for the part where I went to Criterion Studios, that was all taken care of by EA. And then I wrote a piece about it, and I wrote a very good, very lavishing thing where I said, you know, this is a great game. I really enjoyed it, because I did, though. I did really enjoy it. I enjoyed what I played. I really did. After I played more of it when it released, I hated it. We weren't doing reviews of the game, but I didn't like it. I really didn't like it. But the time that I played it there, multiplayer with everybody else and everything in that environment, I really enjoyed it, and it was fun. Felt like Burnout again. But then when I got it home in November, or well, later that month or whenever it was that I got the game, I didn't like it one bit. And I don't know if it was the setting. I don't know if we were just shown certain modes that were going to really be enjoyed between a bunch of people. I don't know what the situation was for that, but you can be skewed. I've never been directly offered anything for a game or a review or anything like that. I've never been directly offered like, hey,
there's still time.
We'll send you. For us, I doubt it. I doubt it for us, but never been sent something and said, "Hey, if you'll run this on the front page of Colony of Gamers, if you'll talk about this for an hour on the show, we'll send you all this stuff." Never been approached that way. I have always offered to say, "Look, if you'll send us codes for your game, we will talk about your game." I've always given them that offer. And I've also made it clear that, look, we're going to be talking about your game anyway. We'd appreciate the codes, but we're still going to be talking about your game because we'll rent it from Redbox or we'll play it from Steam, whatever the case. We don't like to miss out on some of the bigger games, some of the bigger titles. There's plenty of us here. James obviously is not here. Some of the people new in the chat room. We usually have another host who sits over to my right, and we all like different types of games. You're into fighters, RJ. You're into sports games. You're into... You've got a Wii U.
Yeah, I have a lot of different favorites, essentially.
Yeah, you've got a lot of different types of games. Nate's the same way. I'm different. Pinball's a big thing for me. Puzzle's a big thing for me. And then there's James, who MMOs are a big thing for him. And we're all going to play what we really want to play. And we're going to talk about it on the show. And if somebody can send us copies for us to do that either ahead of time, which is always welcome. We would always like to, because our time is so very limited, because we don't do this for a living. Then we'll talk about it, regardless of whether or not we're going to like it or we're going to dislike it.
Yeah.
We've got plenty. Look, man.
Well, I mean, and that's
Wolfenstein: The New Order. That's a perfect example. And I wish James was here so we can talk about it. Maybe he's going to be here before the end of the episode. But that's a perfect game where I saw nothing but crap every time I saw it. And then I got to play it, and I was like, this is not crap. This is good.
Had the same feeling.
This is really good.
I didn't have any expectations for Wolfenstein, but I had a good time with that one. And speaking of which, you was mentioning games being sent in. The only reason to this day that I've ever enjoyed the Demon Souls, Dark Souls genre game series itself, it was sent in to us. Someone sent it in to us, and
that was a listener, right?
Yeah, it was a listener sent it in to us. Said, because I mentioned I like difficult games because I feel like I get my money's worth out of it. You know, I don't like having the game end in like 2 or 3 days because it was so simple and easy. So he said, "You want a difficult game? Well, here, play this." And Demon Souls, and the rest is history. I played it. Expressed it back to him, got my own copy, said thanks, and then started rolling from there. So yeah, that's how we do things here. When we get new titles and series in.
I know.
Let's play it. See what happens.
We've got some people in the. In fact, let me do a chat room roll call real quick because there's a lot of people in the chat room. I'm glad they're here for this episode, but it's a lot of people. Let's see. We've got AC Wraith, BGC Monte Cristo. I think that's a new name. I don't know that I've seen that name in there before. Lavos is in there. Duke Frukum 2. Glad to see you. He's joined us like in the past 2 weeks. He's popped into the chat room while we're streaming or just after we've stopped. And he's like, is this show over? And I was like, yeah. Joining us late. So I'm glad he could make it on time. Jimmy the Saint is back. Also, John Caldwell 2 is in the chat room. I don't know. Is that a new name too?
That's a new name.
Yeah. Callie Synth, Medusa's Mirror, and Nabokov fan join us again. Also, STM Fuller, Stufu, and Three Blades hanging out in the chat room. We appreciate all of you there. And again, we're sorry about the audio issues. They're only experienced watching it through Twitch. Don't know why. I would love to tell you, and I'd love to figure out how to fix it. But I'm not exactly sure why that is. So apologies for those, but if you listen to the radio stream, I don't think you will have those issues. So anyway, now that we jumped into the those two issues that seem to dominate the week, I think.
Well, at least the past day and a half.
The Zoe thing happened earlier.
The Zoe thing happened earlier. But,
and then the Phil thing happened on Friday.
Yeah.
So, beginning of the week is this, end of the week is this.
But see, the thing with Phil happened because of Zoe.
Yeah.
Oh, did it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's because he was supposedly
there's
that's
a whole lot of stuff to look into this thing, isn't there?
And see, someone the reason he got brought up because someone mentioned something about her getting thrown out of a wedding, and he was like, "No, that wasn't the whole situation." And then apparently he was at a wedding that she was at.
Oh, good God!
So, how deep do you want to go in the rabbit hole?
It's like bad reality TV.
I was about to say, it sounds like soap opera type stuff.
That's why that's why it fell.
Well, all reality TV's bad. So yeah, that's what it sounds like.
Okay.
Let's talk about games.
That is though first world issues.
What was the Five Guys thing?
She slept with 5 devs that did reviews on her game.
Yeah, that's the accusation.
I thought it was Five Guys Burgers and Fries. I thought that.
Yeah,
was
it's
the reference.
It's the reference. It's the accusation is that she's.
I'm getting it now.
Yeah.
No, I'm getting. You'll have to forgive me.
These weren't just like little website writers. It was Rock Papers Shotgun, Kotaku.
Holy cow!
Yeah,
another one.
It was a lot of dirty laundry aired and
big, reviewers.
Just
Jesus, let's move on.
Yeah, I want to talk about games now. The things we enjoy, not I'm done with the internet.
You want to talk about
now.
a depression
in
quest.
IGN?
Yeah.
Well,
but we can safely say none of us knew her.
I don't know.
Clean.
I don't know if she's been to like E3 or PAX or something like that. I played a ton of games at my favorite little booth at PAX last year was the Indie Mega and Indie Mini booth, which were in the same booth. That's where I found speedrunners. That's where I found a game called Lost Toys that we've had on the show. I found a lot of great little games over there. In fact, Papers, Please was there as well. Tons of great little stuff there. I love that booth. I don't know that she wasn't at one of those things. But I can safely say I don't think I've ever met the woman. I've never met Phil Fish either. So I'm pretty much fine with that. I'm going to PAX next week. Beginning Wednesday, I will be in Seattle. And then Thursday, I'm taking a long drive to Spokane, Washington. Spokane, I think.
Sure, whichever.
Close
Whichever.
enough.
I'm going to Cyan. I'm going to the guys who made Myst. I'm going to their studios on Thursday and just sort of make that pilgrimage and enjoy it. I'm a huge fan of those games, of that series. We've had Rand on a few times, and it's going to be a lot of fun to head out there, and hopefully he'll be able to sign some of the stuff. I'm going to bring some things. Hopefully he'll sign them. But this is one of those situations. A lot of people have used the term, this is a dream come true for me. And I will use that here. This is going to be a dream come true for me, is to visit these studios and meet that guy who made those games. I don't know if his brother's going to be there or not because they both collaborated with that whole series. But
Just don't mess with any red or blue books. You want the white page.
I would love to see the props that they may have that they used for those. They've got a lot of those little things and something they call the vault. And I don't know if it'll be...
If you'll have any,
if I'll have any access to the vault just to see those things and get some pictures with them.
you'll maybe get to see a picture of what's in the vault.
Yeah.
If you're lucky.
But that's going to happen. Then I'll be out. I've made a few appointments. I'm going to see a lot of the games that I saw at E3. Tiny Build Games sent me an invite. These are the guys who publish speedrunners, but they've got a lot of other stuff. What's that other one? Is it Clee Entertainment? the guys who did to publish Shank and published gosh, what is it? Mark of the Ninja. They've got one called Investigation Inc. I think is their newest release.
Invisible Ink.
Is it Invisible Inc?
I think so.
Well, it's on Steam.
Cly Entertainment. KLEI.
Cly, yeah. It's on Steam Early Access, so they've sent me an invite for that. I'm going to get to see my favorites from E3 again from Devolver Digital. Not a Hero, which is the game that is the one that's... there's a video of it on our page for me to describe. It's very difficult to describe. It's a 2D side-scroller type thing. You go into a building, guns blazing, you have a cover mechanic, but it's all done in sort of 8-bit pixel
That game looks awesome.
type stuff. Yes. So I get to see that again. I get to see Titan Souls, which is the one where it's like one guy, one arrow, and one hit, one HP.
Both of those I'm looking to get.
So I get to see that again, and then my biggest favorite is the Talos Principle, which is nothing but puzzle solving.
Yes.
Nothing but puzzle solving and a little bit of existentialism. Okay. But it's the same guy.
Too.
Yeah. It's the same guy who made the Swapper. And so he's doing the writing on it. The team that's making Talos Principle, the same guys who did Serious Sam. 3, I think. Not Crytek, but Crow Team. Crow Team are making Talos Principle, but the guy who did the Swapper is writing Talos Principle. So I get to see those things again, and I'm very, very excited to see those. I don't have a AAA game scheduled on the list, and I am perfectly fine with that. I have no problem whatsoever. Those 3 games that I just listed, Not a Hero, Titan Souls, and Talos Principle, can't wait. Can't wait. I do have some stuff set up for, I do have Dead Island 2. Look how easy I forgot. Big titles like that.
So many games.
I know. Look how easily I forgot that over those 3 games that I am just excited to see.
That little game, Dead Island 2, you might
Dead
have heard
Island
of
2,
it.
there's another Dead Island Escape, I think is what it's called.
Yeah, that one looks interesting.
I'll get to see that, and I'll get to see something that Volition will announce at the show at PAX. They'll announce it at one of their panels at PAX, and then I'll see the show.
Volition's announcing it?
Yes.
Saints Row 5.
You would think, right?
I would hope, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah, we'll see what it is, but I'll get to see that at an appointment later on. And that's all I've got scheduled. Nobody has sent any other invites for me to see anything else, which is fine. I kind of use PAX as a relaxer. I do get to see some games, but it's not. That schedule is so nothing like what it was for E3.
Hip Hop Gamer won't be there, will he?
He might. I don't know. I'll have to send him a message and find out.
Yeah, you should.
Just to say hello. So I don't know if he'll be there or not.
Just to sit next to him.
This is a different beast, man. Panels. You want to see a panel, you better plan about an hour to 3 hours in advance because you got to get in line for it.
Yeah, I've never been to anything like that, so I have no clue.
Do you have any interest in ever going to anything like that?
Yeah, I mean, definitely. I've never really had the opportunity.
I wasn't sure. I wasn't sure.
Oh, yeah, definitely. The closest I've ever been to was like a Microsoft computer show up in Baltimore.
Sounds like a wonderful time.
I mean, it really was. It was when Vista, I believe, was called Code Red Longhorn at the time.
Wow.
A long time ago.
Code Red Longhorn. Jeremy would know what that is. I have no idea.
It was just the code name for Vista.
Yeah.
Like, it didn't have a name yet.
Kind of like Project Dolphin and all that.
Exactly.
Did you finish the book? Speaking of, I don't know why Project Dolphin came into play there. I don't know why, but that reminded me of Console Wars.
Yeah, I'm in the second part of the...
Because didn't the GameCube have a...
that was Project Dolphin.
Project Dolphin, okay, yeah.
And the Wii was Revolution, and there's a whole bunch of
Well, the
them out
N64 was the Ultra 64.
Yeah, that's what it was originally advertised as with Killer Instinct.
Yeah, that's what kind of reminded me of that. But
I was in the part where they've developed Sonic the Hedgehog, that concept art, the Japanese idea
of Sonic,
of Sonic,
like a vampire thing.
No, it was like a
hooker girlfriend.
It was like green. It was like green fur with fangs and a spiked collar, and his girlfriend's name was Madonna, and she looked like Jessica Rabbit with blonde hair. Or something along those lines. And the American audience took a look at that and was like, yeah, we got to change this. There's no way we can put this past market. So they made their changes in the button heads between Sega of Japan and Sega of America. It's amazing they got anything done, to be honest with you, reading of the difficulties that Kalinske had with Sega of Japan. Because his meeting with them, they didn't want to do anything he wanted to do at all.
It was a culture clash.
Yeah, big culture clash.
It was like, this is going to work where we're at. And like, no, it's not going to work where you're trying to get into.
Mm-hmm. That may work here, but it won't work in America. So let me do what I do where I live. Let me do it there. And they kept butting heads with them all the time. But yeah, that's where I'm at now. They're the fight between Sonic the Hedgehog and Mario on the Super Famicom. So
let's jump to the phones real quick before we take a break here and put William on the line. William, you there?
Yeah.
Hey, man. Thanks for calling. Where are you calling from?
Montgomery. Yeah, quick question. What can you tell me about Windows 9?
Do we know anything about Windows 9? I heard rumors that it would be out in September, or that it would be revealed in September.
Microsoft probably wants it to be better than Windows 8. Do a lot better.
Hey. My Apple's is more better than Windows 8.
Your what is more better than Windows 8?
My Apple's board. Another one, a little beads on. You know what I mean?
Oh.
Abacus. Abacus. Yeah.
Yes.
Sliding beads. Yep.
No, I don't.
There's no information out there.
Nate, have you found anything? I know you look like you're frantically looking something up.
I know it's supposed to be having like an alpha.
Oh, an alpha
soon.
Okay.
Possibly, but
but we don't know anything.
I don't know any details about it.
I figured you all know all the good stuff.
No, not really.
Video games, we don't have that insider line to Microsoft.
Operating systems are a little bit more complicated than video game type stuff. But as far as getting information early.
How do you like Linux?
I don't use Linux.
I like Linux.
It works.
I got a question about Linux. And they're short and quick. Now, in Microsoft Windows, they have a part of that you use a magnifier to make things larger. Is something like that available on Linux? You hear me?
Probably.
Yeah. Oh, no, we heard you. We're all trying to think.
There's probably something out there, but I don't know of anything myself.
I mean, I'm sure. I'm sure
there's.
I look for. I got about 4 or 5 different operating systems, but I can't find anything to work on that. I figure you all might know something like that, or maybe one of your listeners might know, because I like Linux is pretty good in some ways. I just thought I mentioned that. Just wondering if you knew anything about Windows 9. Okay. Enjoy listening to you. Have a good day.
Thanks, man.
All right, thanks.
Thank you. If we do get any information about that, we'll be sure to mention it on the air for you. William, we thank you for listening, and we thank you for calling in. If you would like to call in, you can. The number is 334-272-9228. It's a radio show, folks. It's live. Anybody can call in if they want to. Anybody can mention whatever they want. If we got no information for you, sorry, what a waste of a call, but not yours, William. I'm just saying, if you call up and say, hey, let's talk about the price of tea in China, I can't really help you. And sometimes, as far as operating systems, not a big thing. Video games, sure. Video game drama, apparently, we'll do that too.
Yeah, we'll do that on occasion.
Anyway, we're going to take a break. When we come back, I think James will be here. He sent me a text, and I think he'll be in with us. So we'll be back in just a minute. Here's Metroid. We'll be back with more of In-Game Chat in just a moment. And welcome back to In-Game Chat. That song ends a lot quicker than I thought it did. Welcome back to the show. Second hour of the show. If you'd like to get in touch with us, as Duke Frucom has right now, you can get in touch with us. It is 334-272-9228. Hey, Duke, you want to talk about the price of tea in China?
I want to talk about Firefall.
Oh.
Yeah.
That was
I just really was calling to kind of promote this game because there's only 14 people on my friends list that play it, and it is free to play.
Right.
And everybody in that room should be playing it right now. That's what I mean. I know it got off to a slow start.
It really did, because I remember I saw it at
PAX.
Well, I saw it at a couple of PAXs, man, and actually got into the beta or alpha or something. I can't remember what they were holding for the thing, but I got into that, and it just wasn't hitting me for the. I think it was the beta. It just was not hitting.
Yeah, it was open. It was open for a while, and they're just kind of letting people come in and test out. And the same thing happened. I had a buddy who invited me in. He was like, "Come on, just try it out." And this is before it was on Steam, so it was like a pain. You had to go and download it, and it had its own launching mechanism. And you go in, and I'm like, "Okay, this is kind of, I can see the world. It looks neat.
Yeah.
What exactly are we supposed to do here?" And and he's telling me all the things like I do. Well, is there anything I can figure out for myself, as I'm playing? And he's like, there was no tutorial set up. Unless you were actually reading the manuals and going on the website and participating in the forums, you didn't really know, WTF what was going on.
Right.
So it's evolved, and I don't know the history, but I know that they got rid of some developers and they brought in some new people to fix a lot of the problems they were having.
Mm-hmm.
And there was some broken crafting, and the economy was all.
Who were the guys that made that? Didn't they have
Red
some,
5.
Yeah, it was Red 5. They had some history of making some decent stuff, or at least the people that were there had some history making some decent stuff. But it got better, I guess.
Yeah, you got to give them credit. Building an in-game economy is hard as it is. But to balance it and to actually fix the mistakes and to move on from the problems, that's where you see that the developer knows what they're doing, right? Because if you just create an economy in game and you don't even need to use it, the drops are too plentiful, or you don't even need to use the drops because you just buy everything because it's so cheap. You need to find that balance, and they've done that. And now it's actually pretty fun. They've got all so for folks that don't know. You get these battle frames. You're essentially a particular class. I think there's maybe 5 or 6, and you can level up to 40. And then once you get to 40, you can start the next battle frame. And then of course there's these milestones that you hit in your battle frame to get perks and stuff like that. But the in-world events are what makes it fun, because they're completely random and they happen anywhere in the maps. And there's, I think, 3 different continents. Well, I just leveled up to 38 tonight. I was actually, after your show, I'm going to try and get 40 tonight and start my next battle frame. But I've only been to 3 continents so far, and they're really cool. The evolution between all 3 of them it's pretty unique. You have, it's nothing revolutionary, right? You got your lava levels, you got your forests, you got your deserts, things like that, and it just the attention to detail is really great too. On some of the there's 2 factions, right? There's the people. Oh God, I don't even remember what the Ares people, who are basically soldiers for the planet. And there's been some kind of alien invasion, so you're fighting what they call the Chosen. And the Chosen are these mean guys that come in and start invading the planet. And at every Ares base, is kind of unique, depending on what continent it's on and what environment it's in. So it's really great exploring it all, and there's a gliding system.
Mm-hmm.
The physics engine isn't too good right now, but there's some work to be done. It's a little. They just added a new patch this past week to add some new in-world events, but it's free to play, so people should at least be installing it and trying it out.
Right.
And hitting me up on Steam, Duke Frucom, so we can start playing this and.
I'll take your word for it and give it a shot and see, because I think I had heard something about, hey, you should remember that game called Firefall? Yeah, it's actually pretty decent now,
yes.
because it was not when I played the little bit that I played of it way back when, and this was a long time ago that I played it, man. So I can't even remember how long ago it was. But
the same here. I abandoned it for about a year and a half before I finally tried it out again. So
yeah,
and I totally changed my opinion.
All right, well, cool.
Yep.
Give it a shot. So apparently, Firefall. Give it another test drive if you haven't, or if you have already played it earlier, because apparently it's better than what it was. And if you haven't, there you go. Duke Frukum endorses it.
Take care, guys. Have a good show.
Thanks for calling, man.
Thanks, man.
Bye.
All right, so Firefall, we'll take that into consideration, probably fire that up at some point. Welcome, James.
Hi.
Hey, man.
With your mic on. I should probably put that on before.
Do I have to hi again?
Yeah,
Hi.
there you go. Hey. Haven't used that button in a while, so. Anyway, welcome back.
Nobody's been in my seat?
No.
No.
Respect or fear?
Yeah.
Okay.
Good choice.
I just always hope I can run faster scared than you can angry, man.
Right.
That's about it.
Welcome back.
Thanks.
Been a while.
Yes.
Normally at the beginning of the show, we find out what everybody did since the last show. We don't have that kind of time.
Picked up chicks,
Right, you did, didn't you?
technically speaking. Yeah.
We did talk about how god-awful hot it is out here. And how, because when we opened the show, I just felt miserably tired.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just, bleh. James and I came back from this wedding, and I had to dress in this Vader outfit, and it was...
It was a Vader outfit in Alabama in the summer. You don't
Yeah.
have to describe what it was like.
Yeah.
I'm sure everybody can imagine it.
It was fun.
You felt the way David Prowse looked under that mask, right?
That's a good one. That's a good point. That's a perfect way to put that. Is exactly how I felt. And but yeah, so we came back from that. But other than that, he and I have not talked really about anything. We hit up on some points on Wolf, just some little pointers like, hey, if you're going to replay it, do this.
Yeah, I played through it twice. Actually,
Yeah.
I played through both ways. I went Fergus, and then I went I don't know the other guy.
When did you do? You did this all before? You did this how long ago?
Yeah, I ripped through both right before I had to go to the other job.
Yeah, so it's like 2 months ago or a month ago.
Yeah,
Month
yeah,
and a
like
half?
like 6 weeks. Yeah,
Yeah.
I
so-
ripped through both of those. I did it the wrong way. It's very good to play through twice. You choose a different person to save, and that salvation is going to, have an effect
Yeah, it
on
gives
which way
you
the
a
game
choice
goes.
in the prologue.
Right, and it has an effect on which routes you're going to take through the level to some degree. One of the guys gives you a hot wiring ability, so you're able to hot wire electronic locks, which gets you into electronically locked safes and past electronically locked doors. And those result in one set of bonuses, one set of collectibles, and one particular set of deviations through the levels.
So this is kind of like selecting a skill tree, essentially.
That part is not. That part is,
Okay.
well, I tell you what, it is somewhat like, in a much more rudimentary way, obviously, because it's not 1999 any longer. It is a more rudimentary form of Deus Ex, the original, forcing you to choose either between hacking or lockpicking.
Okay.
You will never be able to do both to perfection. And so making that choice determines, like, there are always going to be rooms you cannot get into, and there are always going to be paths you cannot necessarily take. This is a little bit that way. One route is hot wiring, and one route is lockpicking. The people who join you in your base, in your little hub base, are a little bit different. And so some of the side story is a little bit different. Some of the... It's very interesting because both of the people you save, each of the two different people you can save, rather, has their own small struggle with survivor's guilt. And it's a minor thing. It's relatively minor.
So it's kind of like the situation, I imagine, since I don't know anything about Wolfenstein, is kind of like a Walking Dead situation. It's like you have time to save this guy or the other one.
No, you make a choice.
Okay.
You are forced under uncomfortable circumstances to make a choice. But it is very much meant to be played again, because all bonuses that you gain in one particular playthrough, Fergus, for example, leads you down the path of getting health upgrades, right? So you can have larger bonus health pools that recover faster. And if you go with not Fergus, other guy, Canadian dude, whatever.
Can't remember his name.
Yeah, good-looking kid.
The
nice
Fergus path
fella.
and the
Yeah.
not Fergus path.
Right. You get armor upgrades, right? And so if you are smart and you play the Fergus path, you can then go back, restart
the Chapter 1 level, maintain all of your... You go to Chapter Select, maintain all of your bonuses from completing it the first time, and then start accruing the bonuses from the other way. That's a really good way to handle playing the game on the utmost difficulty, because you have both sets of bonuses.
2 sets of bonuses.
So I did that. I ripped all the way through it, and I was... I kind of bounced off of it very briefly when I tried it on the PS4. The FOV was horrible.
That's right, you did rent it. And then,
I did not like the FOV, and I feel like the game does a very poor job of introducing itself. It's not bad, but the sense of what the game wants to be, what it expects you to think and feel, and how it expects you to act in that first introductory series of events is a little bit strange, and it's very much unlike the tone of the rest of the game. I would say... And, like, did you have a sad at the end? Because I had a sad.
I didn't have the sad that you had.
I had a sad because it was totally unexpected.
But
I did not expect.
I think my reasoning was
face.
because of what you had told me.
Because I warned you about it.
Yeah, and so I was
informed you about it.
You sort of, in a way. You just told me of how you felt just then, and I said, I wonder when this part's coming up. You know, one of those situations. And when it got there, I was like, oh, this is really happening. You know,
Yeah.
oh, they're really doing this. I think I felt more respect for him than I did anything else. I was like, good on you.
Yeah, it's an interesting way to just sort of pinch it off at the end, you know, like kind of just be like, "Moop, we're done," and then like this incredibly moving
It's a great song.
cover of an old Chris Isaak song starts playing, and I was like, I'm getting a little misty up here, man. I feel bad, you know, because I just had a triumphant moment. And, well, here you go. Obviously, clearly, plainly, DLC, sequel, whatever. I would like to see more of it. It had really strong shooting. It had all of the best things that you want. It had kind of a dynamic, nothing perfect, right? The game is not perfect. The shooting was fantastic. The level design in most cases was pretty fun. The encounters were great. The weapons were super fun. It had unlocks and skill trees that were defined by usage, not by arbitrary placement of points or even linear unlockable placement of points. And a stealth or an overt gameplay mechanic that could just sort of work fairly well. I mean, usually once you'd blown stealth and forget about it.
Yeah, really.
And you were incentivized to play each level stealthily for a very small period of time, because there were things that you could do if you silence or killed a couple of guys before you just went crazy with guns akimbo. So super great. I know you guys covered it a million years ago. Nobody has any questions left.
We
about the
didn't,
game,
because
but
I didn't finish it until...
Thought it was fantastic. I thought that the story beats were a little bit strange. I thought the transitions could have been handled better. I think with a little more time and a little more context for how you move from story point to story point would have taken it from like an 8.5 type of deal to like a 9.5 type. Like, it was really good. But since games are largely about, playing games, I'm going to focus mostly on that part and say that it was really excellent. Been a long time since I have felt compelled to play a game all the way through 2 separate paths. It was super good. It
was one of those titles, and we briefly touched on this, but when I had seen it at E3 or in previous whatever situations, it was not. I was like, I have no interest. That was just not pulling me towards them. And then I heard after it released, I heard a lot of good word saying, "Hey, this is actually pretty good. You should give it a shot. This is great."
Well, and it's kind of like we mentioned last week. The last outing, Wolfenstein, not exactly received well.
No.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, oh, okay, we're retreading this ground that we've kind of already seen an attempt at.
Yeah, I got unfinished business with that game because
That's right. You played it.
I
on
rented it.
PS4.
I rented it,
Or
but I
3.
didn't have time to go through the 2 paths. So I only picked the Fergus path. So I always tend to go back and get the other player's path.
Well, now you know. Don't start a new game. Otherwise,
Chapter
you lose all your
select
upgrades.
chapter 1.
Yeah.
Using your existing, obviously singular say. They could have done like a little bit of thing to point that out, but never mind. It was fine. I didn't do that. I played through it twice. I still enjoyed it.
Did you get any of the Enigma codes?
Any of them?
Well,
I got almost all of them. I came very close. I don't know what my total completionist percentage was. It was better than I usually do because I usually don't care much for that.
I didn't get enough to complete one single
Oh, wow.
thing. I got
Now, again, I believe...
missing one here or there. I'm just curious what they do.
I believe there are... I think they just unlock stuff for the main menu, collectibles for the main menu.
Gotcha.
Same as collecting the gold and collecting the letters.
I think
and
I
stuff like
unlocked
that.
one. There may have been some type of code to put in, or I don't know what it was. Something.
Yeah.
I was more focused on story and ending than I was getting anything extra out of there.
It is, in its defense of its collectibles, it was very, very, very... It was very good about providing you with... It didn't highlight or lampshade or any of that stuff where certain collectibles were. You had to really pay attention to your map, and you had to do an awful lot to look at... where are the switches that open the secret door? This is Wolfenstein after all. So where are those things? Where are the paths on the map that aren't connecting to the place I'm in currently? And I'm fairly sure it's not possible to 100% the game in a single playthrough. As a matter of fact, I know it isn't, because you have to go back through both ways.
Yeah.
So it really wants you to do it. I personally think it's totally worth it. So yeah, it was great. I recommend it. One of those rare games that I think is worth a full price if you like shooters,
Yeah.
So there you go. I played that. That was the last thing I played before I went away. And since then, made a hike into the thin air at the top of a mountain and, spent 2 months fasting. I haven't played anything. I've read everything.
Yeah, you've read plenty.
I have read plenty.
I'm sure.
About everything. It changes your perspective, by the way. If you ever have the opportunity to go somewhere for a prolonged period of time and not be able to play video games against your will, it will absolutely change your... I think everybody could use it. I think everybody could use not a voluntary break. A voluntary break is usually something that, you find yourself like kind of weighed down by your library or by your backlog. You sort of find yourself gagging on a lot of the tabloid news, which, by the way, I got about 10 minutes of your last segment. I hope we got that out of our systems.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You find yourself really uncomfortable with the state of affairs and the thing that you enjoy. So you want to run away from it. And that can be healthy, but I think it's much better to be forced away from it for a period of time. It's because you want to be playing it. You still have an interest in it, right? You still have a thirst and a hunger for it, and an interest in what's happening. So you are more likely to curate your desires and curate what you read. If your time is limited, I don't want to spend time reading about personalities. I want to spend time reading about games.
Yeah. No, I understand. I've never been... The closest I've ever come to that, I think, was the hospital stay. That was about it. But then I couldn't even read about the stuff.
Right.
Reading would just put me straight to sleep with the drugs I was on, so it didn't matter. But yeah, couldn't play anything. Didn't really feel that desire to go and play anything either. But that's obviously because of the situation I was in. I'm sure the situation you were in was that, boy, I would love to get away from this and go sit in front and do other stuff. And I was like, boy, I'd really just like to not ever have this happen to me ever again. And thankfully it won't in that situation. But anyway, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we'll have more of In-Game Chat. As we leave you, here is music from Portal 2. We'll be right back. And welcome back to In-Game Chat, the final segment of the show. If you'd like to get in your opinions, go ahead, call us, 334-272-9228, 334-272-9228. I do know that tomorrow for Silver Ball Sundays, assuming my internet works at the house, well, it can work at the house. I can make
It's
it
fine.
work at the house.
Yeah, you'll be fine.
Be doing Silver Ball Sundays tomorrow, and I have the Walking Dead table from Pinball Effects 2. It releases on Tuesday. That table does, and we'll be playing it for Silver Ball Sundays this weekend. It also releases the same day as the final episode of Season 2 of The Walking Dead.
Yeah,
Hits.
that'll be interesting to see how they end it, because again, and we talked about this last time when we were talking about episode 4, is like I'm not feeling the same connection that I did in season 1.
For what?
Walking Dead.
I'm not there, man. I'm
Yeah.
behind. I haven't touched it, so.
You got through any of it? I think you did.
Episode 1. Yeah, that's what I'm
Yeah.
talking about.
Yeah. So, yeah, I'm in the same boat you are. The trailer they released for it was like a 5-minute trailer, but it basically
I didn't even watch it. I want to go in without any detail on it.
Well, I liked it.
Okay.
It basically, but it starts in season 1 and just hits highlights from season 1 and then highlights from the previous episodes of season 2, and doesn't really tell you much about season 5 other than like, here's the end, is coming up. Buy it on Tuesday. That's pretty much all it is. Of course, focusing on Clementine in every little bit of it because it is her
Yeah.
story. But I really, really liked that trailer, even though it was just stuff that we've all seen and stuff that we all played through.
Okay, I might actually go back and watch that if it
I'll
is
tell you
just
what,
a review
the
of
trailer
everything.
for episode 5 that combines stuff from season 1 and stuff from season 2 actually affected me more than what season 2 has affected me at all so far. So they did great there, but like you said, I'm a little bit on the edge of that season.
I mean,
pulling
it's
anything
not
from me.
that it's bad. It's not a bad
No,
story.
it is
It's
not
just
bad.
I'm not invested in it. Like
I am not
was in
feeling the
season
same
1.
thing that I was feeling in 1, or at least having that pull. Don't know. Can 5 do it? I'm not sure. Can the final episode do it? I don't know. Possibly, maybe.
I mean, it is down for a season 3 now.
They announced a season 3.
Yeah.
We don't have a release date or anything like that. We don't even know if it'll follow in her footsteps of Clement. We don't know what'll happen. It's just, yeah, there will be a season 3.
Okay.
So when does Borderlands get released?
Oh, who knows?
Tales from
There's
the
Borderlands. There's Game of Thrones. There's
And they haven't done anything with Games of Thrones, but Borderlands has been seen all over the place, or at least, it was at E3. It's going to be at PAX. It's been shown plenty of times.
Yeah.
So I figured that'd be the next one. But Game of Thrones, I haven't heard nothing about other than that. Other than
the Destiny writer getting
the
hired. for
writer
that.
from Destiny jumping over to Telltale to
Yeah, I didn't know
write
about that.
for the Game of Thrones stuff. Speaking of Destiny, that whole beta was going on while you
Yeah.
were. Did you get any time?
No, I got a little bit of time in it. I got time in it.
Yeah, you got more. I know you got a ton of time in the beta,
Meaning the alpha.
the alpha. I'm sorry. Yeah,
I
you-
got almost as much time in the beta. I canceled my pre-order.
Did you?
Yes, I did.
Really?
Yes.
Why?
Because I don't want to play it.
Anything in particular?
There's a lot of things in particular. I will actually save that for another time. I honestly think I could eat up an entire segment about that game and what I think both the expectation and the reality of that game mean for where we are as a group of people right now, where we are as kind of a collective, looking at that right now. I did think that I feel like I feel like Destiny should have been Titanfall. If my memory is correct, and if everything that I read actually was true and was not some kind of dirty lie, and Microsoft did have first right of refusal at whatever project that Bungie was going to do after first separating from Microsoft, I think Microsoft should, and I think there are 100 things you can say right now for obvious and less than obvious reasons about Microsoft spending their money and how poor a job they do. They miss the mark every time. They should have statistically done a better job at getting a return on some of their investment, just the raw cash investment at this point. Obviously, Tomb Raider being a huge deal that I honestly think is a misstep. I'm not even surprised because we've been heading in that direction for forever. But I think Destiny would have been much improved by a bit more focus. I'm not necessarily sure Microsoft would have done that where Activision wouldn't, but I have a suspicion that they would have. And I think when trying to identify something that you were going to buy and whose publication and marketing you're going to be largely responsible for, and whose continued presence you want to use as a strong wind to buoy your online segment, I think Bungie would have made a much better kind of acquisition instead of this muddied and muddled weird relationship that they have with Bungie has with Activision now. I think throwing money at that, bringing that under their wing, and kind of doing a little second and a half party kind of business, really would have done them better. But I honestly, but instead they go after Titanfall, which was one foot in the grave. And we all know where Titanfall is right now, and we all know how much we all suspect how much Microsoft invested, hoping that was going to be, a major pillar of them going forward, and it isn't going to work. And whatever I may personally think about it, Destiny is going to work wonders over the long term. Even in the short term, I think it's going to do very, very good business. So I would like to have seen that be more of a first-party type of arrangement. Sony or Microsoft, I don't even care. But I imagine that Microsoft was like, enough of you guys. We got years of Bungie stuff happening here. Forget about Bungie.
Yeah, we got Halo. We don't need Bungie.
We're Microsoft. Like, people might not recognize us if we don't actively divest ourselves of things that make us better, right? Or if we don't, choke our darlings to death and just absolutely smother our first-party properties and just sort of smash their corpses and smear them out till they're a nice, ludicrous, even thing right across our entire business model. They're horrible. God, they're horrible.
Paint a wonderful picture.
But on second inspection and using a lot of, I'm not going to say it was a super obvious thing, but I think on closer inspection, Destiny doesn't have nearly as much to offer as it is presenting that it will. You know what I'm saying? I think the shooting is absolutely on point. I think it's tight. I think that they're weird little sort of, it's aimed down sights, but it's kind of not. There's a decent amount of hip fire that can happen there, but there's a lot of, more accurate shooting that needs to happen. I think the shooting was really solid. I think, for an awful long time, they were trying to serve kind of two masters. They're making an online game, and they were trying to convince an enormous number of people, like, no, this is not, if you don't want to play PvP, if you just want to do like PvE stuff, that's what this game is about. This game is just about that stuff. And then there's like an arena matchmaking thing, and it's way over there, and it doesn't really have an effect on stuff. But that's not even remotely true. Like, it's not even remotely true. A huge draw for an enormous number of people that are following Bungie out of some sense of loyalty or respect for their past products, and people that just want the next best arena shooter on console are really pushing for the PvP. The PvP is actually going to be probably the dominant component of that game. Having been around, and I know this is in no way an MMO, but having been around this style of game for so long and played so very many of them, it's incredibly difficult to balance which segment you want to serve best. You know what I mean? Because they're rarely the same guys. Some people dabble, but you've got a major hardcore group here and another over here. Right. And the PvP guys are much easier to serve. Much, much, much easier. They are each other's own content. You give them new maps, you just give them new maps and the occasional new mode, and you're good to go. The PvE guys can chew through all of your fiction, all of your progression, all of your story. However fast you think they're going to do it twice as fast. And this has been true in every case. It's much more expensive, much more difficult to serve them and keep them happy, even with DLC, even if you're holding something back at launch. So for me and for what I want out of a game, I see it as something that I would digest very quickly and get very tired of. I see a lot of repetition. I don't particularly care for the simplicity and some of the design elements. I really want something with more meat on its bones. And this is more of it's just a basket of chicken wings to me, or something like it's not a particularly hearty meal. And
me and you were talking about this, and I will say one of their biggest issues is people coming from MMOs like me and you. That type of world is huge. That's right. Hours and hours and hours of content, as of to where this is a console-driven game. And which is why I 100% guarantee you is not on PC, because this type of I just don't think people coming from MMOs on PC couldn't handle this, because shorter in the fact that, WoW, you could spend hours in WoW and not get anywhere,
It's a much smaller thing, and I don't mean that as a pejorative, right? I'm not saying it is a bad thing. I think it's going to do quite well. I don't have any love for it. I think it's cute. I think it's very nice what you're doing there. Pat it on its head and send it on its way. I don't want to give it my money.
And like you're saying, it's small. It kind of needs to be small for console because the people on console generally with an MMO need a smaller, array of things.
There is a history now, a significant history running. Consoles have been around for a long time, right? We've talked about this endlessly. It always comes back around to these points of deviation where we feel like things change significantly. PCs and consoles didn't used to exist anywhere near each other, and both the business and the design history of these games changed significantly, like about 13, 14 years ago, right around the time the first Xbox showed up, right around the time, money hatting was coined and money hatting started happening. And people started changing their design parameters to fit both a weaker machine, and that is fair. I don't really want to be upset about it, but both a weaker machine and an historically different point of view about what games were. Casual, not in terms of somebody's ability to play, but casual in terms of how they approach the game machine. It really was a different thing. You got 6 buttons and like a thing that turns on the power and makes it go. And the PC was always a different thing philosophically. And I think if you were to take an MMO FPS as an unbaked idea, right, as raw ingredients, I think that Destiny is exactly what you do when you put it together for a console. It just absolutely is. I'm not even saying that's wrong. I'm just saying it's not for me. I'm saying that Bungie does indeed have a history. And if we're willing to follow them forcefully, if we're willing to defend them for whatever reason, people are defending them. But if you're willing to defend them against any kind of like online slander or any accusations that the game isn't going to live up to its promise, because I've got a history with them and I love what they did, then we have to at least be willing to acknowledge their history of overselling their lore and underselling the execution, overselling the scope of their game, right? They were a very early and very vociferous member of the See That Mountain chorus. You can climb that mountain.
You can go to that mountain, yeah.
They were very, very much about that. And then in the end, you couldn't even climb the handrail, much less that mountain over there. The games are always very narrow in execution, very broad in sales and scope. And you know that I'm very much on a sword-carrying righteous crusade about the difference between what we're sold, our own best wishes, right?
Yeah.
We're sold our own very best idea of what we want. What is
get.
I totally got some of that right back here. And this not from poor people or not even from a busker on a street corner just trying to make his way. This from multi-billion-dollar corporations. So I don't see Bungie as my friend. I see them as having done executed some of the most fun games I've ever played. But I believe they are vastly overselling the capabilities of this game. Vastly. And I think people are indulging in wishful thinking to think that it is ever going to be great. Destiny 2, maybe. In the meantime, I took that money and I bought into Elite Dangerous.
What is that?
I've seen you play a little bit of this.
I thought I came down off the mountain without my anger, Scott, but you just found it for me.
What is that?
You know what you don't do? You know what you didn't grow up doing? You did not grow up in the cockpit of a spaceship. That is a problem you have always had, and I have told you about it, and it's fine. I like you anyway. It is very, very... How much time do we have? It is very, very important, in my opinion, to note that I have said horrible things in the past about independent game studios, the indie movement, rather, not individual things. I say horrible things about any particular individual, depending on which way the wind's blowing. But I've said very bad things about that movement a long time ago when it was producing stuff that I didn't care about. Like any normal person, as soon as it started doing what I wanted, I was a huge fan of it. And now, and Kickstarter and crowdfunding being the same thing. I thought that it was largely producing garbage for a long time. More wishful thinking. But I think a lot of people have found a safe path through it. And whatever else you might be saying about any of these other things, garage games level of things and crowdfunded levels of things, they are starting to bear fruit, and they're bearing incredibly important fruit by proving that, we are about to reap a bounty of many things, but chief among them to me is space combat sims. And I know this doesn't mean anything to a lot of people, but much like RTS games disappeared for an incredibly long period of time, space combat games have disappeared. And for a lot of us, I put together a computer the first time I ever put one together so I could play X-Wing. That's X-Wing, man, from Star Wars. And if I build this and buy that, I can do that. I can do that. And it was so good because I was a kid in the 80s, right? I wanted to fly spaceships. I'm pretty sure everybody in the 80s wanted to fly spaceships. And so I never got it out of my system. And the 90s gave me dozens and dozens, literally dozens of opportunities to do that. And they were brilliant in almost every respect. But simulators in general, space combat sims in particular, have disappeared in a bad way. And they've been gone effectively, except for the rare, X series game that has shown up once or twice. They've mostly been gone. Your best bet, if you want to play Space Combat Simulator, anytime in the last 10 or 12 years, was Free Space 2. And it was already busy being the best back in 99.
So a brand new name in the chat room, John Caldwell too. I want Free Space 2015.
Yeah.
So
yeah, hook it up. But it's happening right now because right now, and again, we can talk about this at a later date when we maybe want to do a deep dive into the problem of celebrity developers and name before project and all these other things. But say whatever you want to about it. $52 million entirely crowdfunded for Star Citizen, and it has produced nothing. A buggy skybox into which you can go where things don't work correctly. An arena mode, which is, by the honest admission of almost everyone who is a fan of the game, the least interesting thing about the entire game. It's not even something that anybody wanted. You got the PvE guys. You got the single-player Squadron 42 guys. You've got the Star Citizen shared universe guys. You have the poor confused souls that think it's going to be anything like EVE Online. But whatever it is, it doesn't matter. It's in space, and Roberts is responsible for some of the greatest things I've ever done, right? The last two most amazing things I played, Starlancer and Freelancer, were both his, and they were fantastic. Freelancer obviously being, possibly a little bit of foreshadowing about how he's behaved with Star Citizen. That I don't want to get into that here again. We don't have enough time. But the point being, not only has it proved that this was a viable path forward for any game, it's proved that there is a tangible, a palpable, identifiable hunger for space combat games. That the people who put together brawny computers, because brawny computers were the only places you could find the broadest and most incredible experiences, and the place where your experiences could look the very best. It was always true. It is now true more than ever, right? Space combat, super important, because sci-fi is amazing, and new Star Wars movies coming out and all that crap, whatever. Pretend it makes sense. It does in my head. But with that sort of out there leading the charge, there's a lot of smaller things taking up the rear. I mean, No Man's Sky, while obviously more than just a straight space combat game, is certainly you're flying spaceships around, and that's a big deal. And for all the people that like it for being a cute little procedurally generated indie explorer, the fact that you get from one piece of exploration to the next in space is incredibly important. On top of that, you've got two really, really promising single-person space combat games with slightly different focus. So you got Limit Theory and Enemy Starfighter. Look them up. They're completely beautiful.
I think now that you're mentioning it, I think the closest I ever came to what you were talking about was Colony Wars.
Oh, I was actually going to make that point that the 90s were so awesome that even the consoles had brilliant space combat games.
Yeah.
The Dreamcast had Starlancer. That's where you played it.
Yeah.
The PlayStation had Colony Wars 1 and Colony Wars 2, and I would even, for like certain definitions of sci-fi space combat, I would count G-Police. Also a Psygnosis game.
Yes, the same guys from
the same time as
yeah.
Colony Wars. First two games that were compatible with the dual analog controller for PS1, by the way. But Colony Wars was fantastic. At the time, I wanted it for my PC. I've always wanted it for my PC. It was fantastic. But you've got Enemy Starfighter, you've got No Man's Sky, you've got Limit Theory, you've got Star Citizen, and you've got the granddaddy, no messing around, absolutely serious Elite series, which goes all the way back to '84. And it was a game that generated an entire procedurally generated Milky Way, a galaxy generated like at that levels of exactness and perfection. And they have kickstarted their thing. It is in a much more complete state. It's much further along than Star Citizen is. It was funded at, I don't know, 5% of what Star Citizen has been funded at, like $2.5 million, roughly. But it is many of the same people that have been involved with the Elite projects over the course of 2 decades. Whoops. 84 was 3 decades ago. The 80s will always be 20 years ago, won't they?
Well, yes, they will. Like they used to be 10 years ago.
Right.
10 years ago.
Next time Halley's Comet comes around, when I'm like an ancient old man, I'm like 20 years ago when I was like 9 years old and saw Halley's Comet in the backyard. It happens, man. You reach like a point. It's like somewhere in the mid-30s and whatever.
Yeah.
But it is what I most needed. It is that incredibly earnest, that incredibly focused. There isn't even enough money to generate cynical development in that studio, but it is brilliant, and it also, by the way, has turned me very much around on the you know what you need? This has nothing to do with me, by the way, but I was thinking about you. I was being very altruistic, and I was being very mindful of the other people in my life, and I realized what you need to do, and you would be happier than you've ever been if you bought a Dev Kit 2 Oculus Rift.
Oculus thing, yeah.
Because what do you know? I got a copy of Elite Dangerous, and they work perfectly together.
You're totally thinking. I know what you were doing.
But no.
Well, unfortunately, they can't sell them on eBay anymore.
Oh, can they not? What happened?
Oculus started cracking down on those.
Oh, come on.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, never mind. Nothing bad is going to happen when they get purchased by Facebook. I'm sorry. They're all just like such great guys there. And all people who make things that I like are my friends. That's really horrible.
Yeah.
Stop interfering with things that would possibly get me a thing that I want. Is really what I'm. But no.
Stop interfering with things that could possibly get him what he wants.
I was just skipping a step.
From me.
Well, you're going to get one if you can. You are.
You need one.
Yes, you are. Don't make that face.
I promise you, if you spend the money on it, and then come over and hook it up to my copy of Elite Dangerous, you'll be glad that you spent that money. But probably not until then.
Yeah.
But I mean, obviously, you know what my problems were with that thing.
I know. Yeah.
And they are all mostly.
Will it
all
not
solved.
run whatsoever on the?
Oh, it'll run, but it's like it's ugly, man.
I know it'll
It's
look like crap, but yeah. So.
I mean, I think it will. We could try it out.
Okay.
But it is a fantastically beautiful game, and it was an opportunity for me to spend. And you know, they just entered their standard beta phase, which dropped their premium access from like $150 down to like regular game price. So I was very, very, very excited to pull out my old Logitech Extreme
Flight
3D
stick,
Pro, hook it up, and
I've still got mine. It's still sitting on the desk. Dusty as anything else you've ever seen because I have not had any reason to use it.
Well, you know what else we're getting if
Flight
they'll
Sim.
ever do it.
Yeah. Oh, what?
What Flight Sim
Flight
10
Sim.
or Flight Sim 10 Gold Edition or whatever they're calling
Steam
it now.
Edition,
Steam
something.
Edition.
Yeah.
Like, that needs to show up like now.
This one guy, real quick, on the Oculus is being sold. He was selling the second dev kits.
Yeah.
And on his eBay page, he sold 270 of them, going from 800 to 1,000 a piece. And then was selling it. So combined, him selling the first ones and the second ones, he sold $227,000 worth of Oculus headsets.
Wow. Good job, guy.
Dang.
I
Yeah.
love supply and demand.
So
Wow.
Yeah. By the way, to Duke Frucom's point in the chat room, you're buying your way into the beta, but you're buying a copy of the game. And just to point out, it's not strictly just to pay to play a beta. It is not. It is. They're treating their beta stuff fairly seriously. The guys who backed essentially at a higher price, got all of the expansion material in perpetuity. Those of us that backed at the lower regular price merely get the copy of the game when it comes out. So it is not any kind of weird gouging. It is necessary to match the original backer levels. Unfortunately, I mean that's something that they absolutely have to do if they still want to generate money. So I think it's a far better thing than Star Citizen's, spaceship a la carte thing they got going on, but whatever.
Well, I mean, I'll take your word for it. So, and yeah, Colony Wars, I would like to get back into something like that. Been wanting something like that since I played that, and never could find it. But thanks everybody for joining us in the chat room, as well as everybody listening on the stream or on the radio as well. Thanks to everybody who grabs us each week from iTunes or however you get our show for later use. We really appreciate it. Check out ingamechat.net, and you can join us on Twitter, Facebook, our forums at colonyofgamers.com, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. And if you're on Steam, we've got a Steam group you can join up with over there and play games with us and other listeners. Thanks, everybody. We will see you next Saturday. Don't forget to tune in for about 30 minutes from now, and we'll be streaming some games here on our channel. Don't know what we're going to play tonight. I'm sure speedrunners will be involved, but we got Forced.
Yeah.
And Crawl. Got plenty to play. So join us for that coming up in a bit. Have a great week. You will see James here next week, and RJ. You might see Nate, but it'll be James. It'll be the James and RJ show next week for you. So stick around for that next Saturday, and I'll see you a week from then. Have a great one. Bye-bye. Oh, this is music from... Go for it. It's Mega Man. Yeah.
Is it really Mega Man?
It's Mega Man.
You're lying to me. I don't have my headphones in. It could be anything.
It's Mega Man. We'll see you next week, guys.